Hey guys, it's Jolanta from Soulight Space. I'm astrologer and tarot reader, and in this video we're gonna talk about Saturn return, one of the most important transits in our life that happens right before we turn 30. So this is the time of finally facing in a total way adulthood, maturity, responsibility, karma, patience, and many other things that I'm going to talk about in this video. So this video is for those of you who are right before, during, and even after Saturn return. You can get ready with me, prepare for what is coming, or you can understand your past transits with this video in case you are over 30 and you already went through Saturn return like me. So everybody is welcome to watch. We're gonna explore what Saturn is all about, and we will try to understand better how to work with this planet in general. So this video can serve not only for Saturn return people, but maybe also for those of you who are simply going through some transit of Saturn. So welcome, and keep in mind that this is a general reading of Saturn. If you would like to know how your Saturn return will exactly look like for you, what to focus on, what to work on in your life in order to respond in a better way to Saturn lessons and tests, then you are welcome to book a reading with me, Saturn return. You can also book just a normal classic natal chart reading or transit readings. I also do tarot readings. I combine astrology with tarot. So please welcome to my website to check my offer, and if something is interesting for you, you can just send me your email. All links to my website and other platforms are in the link down below in the description box. You are also welcome to join me on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, where I share daily insights with you, so you are always updated about what is happening in the sky. And you can also listen to this video on my Spotify, because I always share those videos as a podcast version. So welcome, explore the link down below, timestamps also in the description box. If you would like to see something specific about this video, you can just use them. And meanwhile, let's focus on Saturn. First of all, I would like to let you know that I'm a very Saturnian person myself. So many things that I know about Saturn, I just know from my own experience on a very personal level. I feel very familiar with this energy. And, you know, due to my placements, I was kind of like forced to really understand what Saturn is all about in order to survive, in order to not suffer so much in my life, but to use this energy to my advantage. When I say I'm Saturnian, that means that in my case, Saturn is my second dominant planet after Jupiter. It's in my third house, so it's basically in my mind. It's aspecting every single planet in my chart, and most of those aspects are hard aspects of square and opposition and conjunction. So basically, Saturn is all over the place in my energy and in my life. And I'm not gonna lie, my life was always very challenging, a lot of things to overcome since I was a very little girl, and I was born already as a very old soul kind of person with a very mature, serious, and responsible approach to life, with natural understanding of the law of choice and consequence of this choice, karma, also patience, determination, and hard work. So all those things are a part of my nature, especially because Saturn is in Capricorn. So it's truly at home in my natal chart. And I went through my Saturn return a few years ago. So I feel like that's a perfect moment to share with you what I think about Saturn, how I approach this planet, and also, maybe I can share with you some inspiration about how you can use this planet in your life. So first of all, what is Saturn return? Saturn return is this moment in your life right before your 30s when Saturn comes to the same place, come back to the same place where it was at the moment when you were born. So if you see your natal chart, where is Saturn in your chart? Exactly, sign, house, degree. Your Saturn return will take place at the same place of your chart. And that's why, if you would like to understand what your Saturn return will be or was all about, you need to understand your natal Saturn. So the first step is to really explore your natal chart, read your position of Saturn, and how we can do that is check what sign Saturn is in, at what degree, in which house. House talks about the area of your life where the Saturnian energy in your life is happening. And then also Saturn return will be like radiating from this area of your life as well. And you also need to see what other planets or angles your Saturn is also touching through aspects in your natal chart. Aspects are those energies happening between planets, because planets communicate in between them, sometimes in a hard way like square opposition, or sometimes in harmony with trine, sextile. So exploring all those sides of your Saturn will be for sure very beneficial. Then you will understand more what your Saturn is all about. And then Saturn return. We have Saturn return every 29 years of our life, because that's how long it takes for Saturn to do the whole cycle and come back to the same place of this starting point from which we are counting the cycle. So basically, if you have Saturn, Pisces 0 degree in your natal chart, then right now when I'm making this video in March 2023, you are going through your Saturn return. And that's how it goes. So the moment when Saturn transiting your chart meets your natal Saturn, building a conjunction of this Saturn energy, kind of, then you can really experience a huge wake-up call, reality check, test, and you also face karmic consequences of the past 29 years. So now you can also learn with the Saturn return that a lot of things in your life depends on you, on your actions, on your decisions, on your reaction to energies, transits, people, challenges. That's why I feel like the Saturn return is ultimately so empowering, because it's teaching us that we are co-creating our reality. We are not just slaves of energies. We always have the choice to respond with our free will to what is going on in our life. Some people give up, some people search for solutions, and the same can happen during Saturn return. Maybe some challenge will show up for you, and then you can decide if you want to escape, run away, or play the victim mode kind of game, or you are open to be mature, to show up, to face consequences, and also find maybe other ways to deal with your problems in case you have some. So I feel like this wake-up call is very important, and without that we wouldn't have the possibility to truly grow. So again, once you understand your natal Saturn, your Saturn return is kind of like highlighting this energy for you in your chart. And now it all depends on what you've been doing with your Saturn energy all your life, right? And that's why even few years before Saturn return, you can start to really get ready for that and do as much as you can to master, polish, empower your Saturnian lesson. Again, I cannot tell you more, because every single person has a different unique story about Saturn. So welcome for a session. If you would like to have this knowledge for all your life about what your Saturn is about in your personal case, this is again something that you use for your whole life, because Saturn in the natal chart stays in the same position forever and ever. And again, we have 3 Saturn returns. The first one is before 30, but then every 29 years the cycle is repeated. So before 60, you will also go through the second Saturn return. So certain cycles will repeat themselves, certain lessons as well. And then before 90s, the third one. So now, my tips, what you can do to survive Saturn return in the best way. First of all, try to have positive approach to it. Keep yourself motivated that once you go through this Saturn return energy, you will be, if you respond in a positive way, willing to learn, willing to go through challenges, willing to master your skills, to learn new things, then you will be on a higher level of life once this Saturn return is over. Also, Saturn return is not only this moment when Saturn is exactly in conjunction to your Saturn, and due to retrograde, this might happen 3 times. One, and then Saturn retrograde, second one, and then Saturn direct for the last time. So you might have like 3 meeting points, talking about dates when your Saturn meets your Saturn, transiting Saturn. But the moment when Saturn is in the same sign when your Saturn is, that's actually the whole cycle of Saturn return, because the energy of 2.5, 3 years of Saturn is in the same vibration as your natal Saturn energy. So you can treat that Saturn return as this period of 2.5, 3 years. So quite a lot of time to master your personality. So first of all, this positive approach, keep in mind that this energy is here to teach you something, to make you more responsible and mature, to connect you to your personal strength through those challenges. So I would first of all not fall into the trap of being fearful, scared, and having this victimhood kind of perspective towards Saturn, but treat it as when you go to school. You go, you sit there, you learn, you go home, you do your homework, and every day repeating this in a systematic way is making you more wiser, you gain more knowledge, gain more skills, and you simply master yourself as a person. So that's how this cycle looks like, and the more effort you put into the process, the better the reward. Second thing, remember that Saturn is karma. So every action has a reaction. You get what you give. So it's a lot about what you pour into this process, what kind of energy. And then remember, Saturn is coming into your house where your Saturn placement is, in order to demand you to become very serious about all the matters of this house. And now again, if Saturn is aspecting something else in your chart, so this energy is also expanding on other positions in your chart. And that's why my Saturn return was so much fun, because it was just everything at once. All the planets activated by Saturn. So remember that you can achieve a lot during Saturn being in this house. And I would truly focus all my efforts and energy into this place, whatever Saturn is in my chart right now. Even if it's not Saturn return, but just a random transit. This house where Saturn is transiting for you right now, if you respond with serious, responsible approach, then you can really achieve a lot. Also, you can gain a lot of independence during this time, personal strength again, because often we are forced to do things alone, to finally prove to ourselves that we can do it. And that's another sign of being mature, right? Children depend on others, and adult people, they need to depend first of all on themselves, be independent, autonomous. So also Saturn sometimes gives us those lessons. And remember that during Saturn return, you are building a foundation. You can build foundation for next 30 years. So it's really time to get serious, to think, gain some clarity about your goals, about what you can achieve, what you want to achieve in life, and truly work on that, master it. So my tips then, once you understand your house and your natal house of Saturn and your natal Saturn placement, try to turn all the chaos and mess of this house into order, system, something organized, something that is clear and structured. So we go from mess to structure. That's the first thing. Then with things in this house of Saturn, be systematic, be very organized, be disciplined. Don't give up. Don't let obstacles make you feel like, okay, I stopped the process, I cannot do this anymore, nothing is working anyways. Try to keep yourself all the time on track. Don't leave this path. 2.5, 3 years of high focus on this path in your Saturn house, whatever it is, whatever you are trying to master. And then Saturn is teaching us about time. And that means that a part of this lesson is that we might experience some delays. Things are postponed in time, especially rewards after your effort are postponed in time. And this lesson about time is teaching us patience and being very resilient. It's like you don't give up, right? So that's another thing. If it looks like you're gonna have to wait a few years for some results, accept that, because this is the part of lesson. You cannot expect with Saturn that things will happen overnight. It's always a certain time, a long-term process before you get what you want. And that's how it should be. We need again to accept that. That's a part of life. Waiting, sometimes it's a part of life. Another thing about time is that as Saturn is connected to time, before our 30s, our vision about time starts to be also more serious. We are not in those crazy years of, being a student, high school, university times, 20s. We are approaching our 30s. And this is often this moment when we have this wake-up call that we will not live forever on this planet. For some of you, during this time, this is time when we start to say goodbye to certain family members, because, we are already at this age that our grandparents or our parents or other people around us, they start to pass away. So we have this eye-opening moment that, oh gosh, time is really running fast. So maybe it's really about time to start to focus on my goals, on all that I want to achieve in this life, because I will not live forever. So that's another thing that I would treat as a motivation, that you start to feel like, okay, now or never, let's go, let's do it. Let's open this business. Let's buy a house. Let's start a family. Let's go for this big travel all around the world that I always wanted to do. Let's buy this camper van and travel the world. Let's go abroad and work in another country. Let's, I don't know, maybe sign for a course or some school, so you can master your skills, you can level up. So now or never with Saturn, this time starts to look like really one of the most valuable resources that we have in our life, and we start to really be serious about how I spend my time, where I am also sending my energy, which I will never get back, right? So we start to manage time in a more serious way. So again, my tip here is to really focus on what you are doing with your time and get rid of all those things that are making you waste your time instead of helping you to get closer to your goals. Another thing, as we have karma connected to Saturn, Saturn is the lord of karma, so for many of you, you will be faced with consequences of your actions from the past. And this can be a lot of things. Again, depends on your own Saturn and on the house where Saturn is. So be open to this accountability, to be responsible. Don't blame others for your decisions. Don't blame Saturn for showing you consequences of things that you have done in the past. This is a very empowering process of you really facing the truth about what you are doing with your life, with your health, with your work, with your studies, with your partnerships, and so on and so on. And that's why if you really want to grow in this lifetime, you cannot skip this moment when you will look in the mirror and you will just truly talk to yourself with pure honesty. And you will also face certain mistakes that you have done in the past. And now again, it's not about blaming yourself for your mistakes, but learning from them and detect those moments in your life that you have chosen the wrong path. And now with Saturn return, change this and change the way how you live, change your methods, change your habits. This is all about restructuring your life into something better, building on a better, more healthy foundation from now on. So as we are talking about habits, then Saturn can also show up in your health. If you had bad habits, sleeping habits, nutrition, addictions, any kind of things that you repeat, because again, Saturn is very similar to Virgo energy, that's very systematic, routine-oriented energy that we repeat day by day, and that's how we build our life, with those little small habits. So if those habits are negative and unhealthy, then also some signals in your health can show up. So again, treat it as a messenger for you to show you, to point out those parts of your life, of your health, that needs change. Saturn will help you to see where you are not responsible enough, where you are not treating things seriously, and will help you to restructure it if you respond in a positive way to this teaching. If you will be like, okay, my teacher is here, Saturn is here, showing me my mistakes, and now I have the chance to correct them and not repeat the cycle again. Another thing with Saturn, as this is connected to karma and consequences, and in our human system, we have the thing called law in every country, certain rules that we need to follow, formalities, documents, and things like that. So with Saturn return especially, but this is of course the energy of your whole life, but for Saturn return especially, don't break the law, don't break rules, try to be correct with your documentation, with anything that is formal, which involve authority figure. Try to be as clean and clear and correct as possible, follow all the deadlines, try to really treat those serious formal matters in a very serious way, trust me, because during Saturn return, karma is really strong. So if you will be making something that is very unhealthy, negative, against the law, criminal things, this karma will catch you in a very hard way during this time. Also, as this is the time of so many challenges and sometimes loneliness, then my other tip is to really take care of your mental health. This is actually very often a good time for therapy, especially if Saturn is entering those houses in astrology that are connected to mental health and trauma, inner child energy. So try to be very compassionate with yourself. Remember that Saturn return, Saturn energy, Capricorn energy is the opposite side of Cancer, caring energy, nurturing energy of a very delicate, soft, compassionate mother. So this energy of warmth, emotional warmth, sweetness is very needed during Saturn return. So really work with your inner child during this time. Try to also do sometimes things that are truly pleasing you, that are uplifting your mood. Listen to beautiful music, meet with people who uplift you, try to have your vibration on as highest point as possible, because Saturn return can be sometimes very draining. It's a pretty cold and harsh energy, and sometimes it can be very hard to be in this energy for 2-3 years non-stop. So sometimes we also need breaks. So keep that in mind. And even though Saturn might turn us into workaholics and we become so ambitious and so strict and disciplined with this transit that sometimes we just lose all the funny side and sunny side of life during this time. So try to provide this also to yourself, this caring, more light-hearted energy, to gain some balance, to not overwork yourself. That's because, Saturn in the negative side, it can create the feeling of, being very lonely, feeling like life is just all about fulfilling tasks and having tons of responsibilities, and you finish one task and another one is coming, and this is like endless list of responsibilities with Saturn return. This can create depressive thoughts, depressive energy, being pessimistic, because Saturn is facing us with reality, and this can be sometimes too much. So again, self-therapy or therapy in general with some professional therapist, or you just helping yourself with some affirmations, with books, psychology books. Really try to build some balance here, so you will not end up being in a very low position in your life, because once you reach this black hole, then you will have no motivation to work with Saturn anyways, right? So try to keep this harmony in your life by yourself. You need to generate this extra self-care for yourself during this time, because the astrological energy will be putting a lot of pressure on you, on your shoulders, and this can be sometimes too much and it can feel too harsh. So keep in mind that mental health should be the priority, and after that the rest of things are coming. Also, I'm not gonna lie, it can be emotionally painful for some of you, because when you face consequences of your decisions from the past, it can make you feel disappointed with yourself. You can feel like you made wrong choices, you have wasted your time, maybe you have chosen wrong people in your relationships, maybe you are in the job, in work that is not for you, and you are finally realizing that with Saturn return. But again, sometimes this crisis is needed. When we feel this crisis, then we have final motivation to change our life. So I believe that this Saturn return is here for something, that this cycle is truly needed. So even if for a while it can feel a bit harder, remember that not giving up and finding solutions and putting effort into your dreams during this time, if you will do that, you will be so rewarded in the future. And remember that Saturn gives long-term results. So whatever you work on during your Saturn return can give you fruits for the next even 30 years. That's the cycle of Saturn, 29 years, right? So not giving up, that's the most important thing during this time. I know many people that went through Saturn return working very hard, and after this transit, now they can truly enjoy what they've been doing during Saturn return. This is also my own experience. My Saturn return was also about that. I don't like to share too much about private life. I'm a Venus in Scorpio, conjunct Pluto, 12th house stellium. So what to expect from me? Like, this is not my vibration that I just, share my details about my life so publicly. But to give you a general insight about my Saturn return, I feel like I have grown a lot during this time. For example, during this transit, I realized that I was not satisfied with my professional life anymore. I didn't like the job I was doing. I started to be very serious about my profession, about my learning, about having such a life where I will be able to use my talents and my skills in a proper way, because I felt like in my previous jobs I was totally disconnected from my potential and from my talents, and I was just doing jobs that I didn't even like to do. So that was a wake-up call, and of course, it was a certain crisis, disappointment, having problems with authority figure at work, having problems with my own fears, because remember, Saturn is representing fears, blockages, complexes, is this inner critic energy. So this all might be more activated during the Saturn return, but is again in order for you to show you where you need to work on your emotions, where you need to overcome your own blockages, stopping you from taking action, from tapping into the potential of your chart and of your life. So basically, there was a lot going on any single level of my life. As I mentioned, in my case, my Saturn return was like the whole chart return, basically. But you see, the crisis I went through, emotional crisis, me feeling not satisfied with my life and with myself, that led me to quit my previous life, learn new language. I went for a very intense course during this time. I have studied like a lot, 10 hours per day sometimes. So I was very focused on reaching my goal, and that's the power of Saturn, that it gives you a lot of focus, discipline, and systematic approach to your goals. So again, use this transit because you are more supported to be, very, very focused and disciplined. And thanks to the fact that I've learned this language, then in the country where you speak this language, I basically started my astrology business. So I had to deal with all the formalities, documents in this language. It was Norwegian in Norway. So till now I'm using Norwegian in my formalities, for example. So you see, it's like a long-term investment, Saturn return. You put the effort, and then opportunities are showing up one by one. So I feel like this decision that I made during my Saturn return to quit with my old ways of life and to tap more into my ambitious side and connect my life more into the direction also of my North Node, because those things were also connected to Saturn being on my North Node that just end up now. So you see, all those things helped me to achieve a lot helped me to build something on my own. And yes, it was sometimes sad, depressive. I was also working a lot on my own emotions. I was practicing affirmations that I feel the power of doing that till now after 4 years. So you see, again, such a long-term investment, because I was very systematic about affirmations, about working on my chakras, and working with my inner child. I have learned a lot about different methods, how to regulate my emotions. And after that, and still till today, I feel more stable, more strong, and more grounded, thanks to the investment I did during my Saturn return. And also, actually, my Saturn return connected me to tarot and astrology more. After some years of doing other things, I came back more to astrology. I have learned a lot since my Saturn return. Actually, that was the time when I had the first touch with tarot. And then I bought myself my first cards. I went to Italy, to Milan, to buy my first tarot cards right before my 30s, few days before my 30s. So very interesting that you see many things during my Saturn return guided me to the life I'm having right now, when I'm working as astrologer. That's my profession. I'm building my own business. Also, it's worth to mention that my Saturn is in my third house of, speaking, writing, showing up in social media, communicating. And as a kid with such Saturn placement, I had a lot of blockages around that, and fears and complexes. And this Saturn return helped me to deal with this as well, because I had my first job as a guide in the Arctic Norway. And I had to face this challenge of suddenly talking to a group of people, leading the group of people, being a storyteller. And that was a hard challenge for me. But I went through it, even though it was so stressful, and it was not the most pleasant time in my life. I really had to fight with myself and overcome my own inner blockages and my own fears. But I did that, and you see, now I am, basically working with that. I am publishing YouTube videos, I'm making podcasts, I'm writing posts on YouTube, I'm making videos with myself, sharing myself in Instagram stories. So you see, I unblocked my Saturn with my Saturn return. Remember that whatever Saturn is in your natal chart, it's creating an energy of limitation, restriction, blockages. It can be hard to tap into this energy, especially before your Saturn return. So Saturn return is this moment of breaking your walls, of opening up this potential of Saturn, because from the other side, whatever Saturn is in your chart, you can have the potential for mastery of this house, of this sign, of this energy. So it's all about your approach, you see. You can feel like Saturn is here to make you problems, or you can feel like Saturn is here to challenge you, so then you can grow and you can master your skills. I feel definitely on a very different place after my Saturn return. I feel like that was a very needed process. I went through it. Now I feel strong. I made a lot of things alone, in pure loneliness, living alone, working hard, overcoming so many difficult emotions and challenges. And also there was, this delay and waiting process going on. So I had to be very patient. But what helped me was, remembering that this is just a cycle. Saturn return will not last forever. I was all the time motivating myself that this is the cycle that will turn me into a true adult, responsible person. So now I need to show my discipline, my integrity, and my responsible, serious approach to my problems. It's not the time of escaping from my struggles, but to face them, to work with them, to be very strict, systematic, not skip the lesson. And that was my mindset. I was just all the time repeating this to myself, and that helped me a lot. So I hope that those tips of Saturn return will help you as well. And remember, Saturn, boundaries, rules, regulations, plans, organization, hard work, long-term goals, and the energy of you really showing up in your life as a serious person. And remember about integrity as well. So if you tap into those qualities of Saturn, then I'm sure that this transit in the end will be working on your favor. And again, learn your personal energy of Saturn, so then you will understand better what to do, what steps you need to take, what decisions you should make, how to approach this energy. And again, I'm here for you to help. If you are struggling, just go to my website, send me an email with your request. We can meet and we can discuss your Saturn return energy. So then you can go through this one of the most important moments of your life with full awareness, being conscious about what is happening to you. And I hope that with such a reading you can master your skills better. Once in a lifetime energy, so really get serious about what is going on right before your 30s. I hope that this video was helpful. I will be finishing it. If you would like to share some stories about your Saturn return in case you are after the process, then please leave a comment. Let us all know what was going on in your life. Maybe this will help to somebody else to understand what the Saturn transit is all about. And you can just, you are free to share whatever you want in the comment section. Just give me any feedback if you wish. If this video was helpful, please like always, subscribe to my channel if you wish. You can subscribe to my other channels, and meanwhile, see you in the next video. Good luck with your Saturn energy and see you next time. Bye.